Oh, in terms of comedy, I guess it's like Under One Roof, Phua and all these. I mean, the classic ones are the ones that are more successful as compared to the recent ones.
I can't think of a politically correct way to say it.
It's just that rehashing the same old joke, the same old stories. It's gotten out of hand, I think.
The humour is a little bit lame.
Lameness. Definition: the state of being unable to move. Lameness. Singapore slang for a weak and unfunny joke. Singapore humor. Definition: what is Singapore humor? Are Singaporeans too serious?
No. No, not really.
Can I say no? No.
Well, I'm sure there's a fun group among us.
Somewhat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not too bad. I just have a sense of humor.
Good evening, honoured guests of honour, ministerial ministers, secretaries of parliamentary members, senior ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of you. First of all, let me wish you a very happy new year. Honoured guests of honour, ministerial ministers, secretaries of parliamentary members, senior ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of you. As you may well know, the MHA, MFA, and MICA, MICKEYMOUSE.
I think the unique thing about Singapore humor is that it's from Singapore. I don't think, do we really need to say, it's lowbrow, it's highbrow? Do we need to say that, it's slapstick or it's intelligent? I think we have a full range of all of those. I think the unique thing about it is it's our stories, it's our characters, it's our society.
That's why when I say tell those jokes, right, it reflects on society. I'm saying, that day, I'm trying to come out of the MRT train, and 2,000 people trying to rush in, right, and then, and stuff like that. So I walk out with my umbrella now horizontal this way, so people will walk when will get stabbed by my umbrella. But, so hopefully people will nod their heads and go, yeah.
You can find a lot of humour in everyday life, and I think Singaporeans, Singapore humor, in my opinion, and I could be wrong or I could be different from the rest, is everyday life. Things that hit their heart. Things like pay cut, retrenchment, speaker's corner, DBS shares, that kind of thing. Things like this that hit their heart. Or Fan Wong and Christopher getting married. It's like if I were to go to, say, Paris, I wouldn't want to watch something from London or a UK Broadway. I want to watch something that's very Paris, like a Cirque du Soleil or something, because I want to understand their art. And that's why I think Singaporeans understand our humor, as well as the foreigner. They want to watch because they want to understand more of Singapore humor.
My name is Mrs. Heng. I am the author of the very popular cookbook. What is it called? Mrs. Heng's cookbook.
Yes, our comedy is uniquely Singaporean, with its fair share of Singlish, kiasuism, and other very localized traits. Even our TV comedies have a long, illustrious history. In 1994, the Tan family made us laugh. Under One Roof.
Yes, when people look at me, they'll say, hey, what's the moral of the story? And the interesting part is that when I travel and when I'm at the Singapore immigration, and my name is Moses Lim, they'll start saying, hello, Mr. Tan, how are you? Then I always tell them, sorry, my passport is Moses Lim and not Tan Atik.
But what about now? Who are the Tan Atiks of today?
I think as far as local TV comedy is concerned, it's I suppose, very mainstream, very mass-oriented. I'd like to see characters and situations that, again, are very Singaporean, things that could happen and things that you could see here and possibly not anywhere else.
Because comedy needs to have a certain chaos, a certain anarchy, a certain rebelliousness, and I think Singapore's a little bit worried about that sometimes, so a lot of our comedy is very safe on TV, Yeah, but we're slowly growing.
I would never put down our local humor because we get a lot of laughs
simply because we are such a diverse culture, and we also can use Singlish and slangs, and it makes it really, really fun. The problem is we do not capitalize on that advantage, and we just dwell strongly on exaggeration.
Sadly, I think that our TV, that's why I'm taking 2 years sabbatical. I think the TV writers are very, it's not that they are no good, they are very spread thinly due to market demand.
Like I said, the majority of people who watch Channel 5, Channel 8, still want the Phua Chu Kangs because that's what they're used to. You don't give them anything more, then they'll be used to that kind of humor forever. You don't test them, you don't push them.
We are not producing enough comedy writer for TV. So say, I think the current situation, if I may understand, is they are writing several things simultaneously. Whereas in the past, when we first started Phua Chu Kang, what we have is a big team of 10 person writing for 2 sitcoms, and then they merge. So say you write 5 episodes, you write 3 episodes, then there's a head writer to string everything together, you know, and they meet every day to brainstorm and kill each other's jokes and throw in new jokes. I think the system then was better.
Whether local comedy is safe or not, one thing's for sure, the comedy here has evolved. And not just on TV. From screen to stage, our comedians are once again not afraid to bear it all, just for laughs.
This must be the highest part of my career, correct?
Stand-up comedy is like the most scary thing on earth lah. Stand-up comedy, I will always equate it as being bungee jumping. Stand-up comedy is very scary because you are both the script writer and the performer and the host, because you have to hold the audience. I can keep some generic old jokes, but you have to always keep it current. So as a comedian, as a stand-up comedian, you actually have to be very knowledgeable.
I got in trouble once, well, almost got in trouble once, in one of my old stand-up comedies where I sang a song, and it had one of the ex-Malaysian prime ministers in it. And MDA called me up and said, "Why are you singing the song? Don't sing it anymore." But if I took the song out of my show, then the routines would be, you know, it wasn't, you know, my artistic integrity was being questioned. So I said, no, I'll sing it. And I continued, and I got hauled up. And back then, the deputy director of the MDA said, "We told you not to sing it. Why did you sing it? You might have caused an international incident." And I went, I would be very flattered if I had caused an international incident by one joke I made. I mean, it's ridiculous. If Malaysia cannot take a joke, or if Singapore politicians cannot take a joke, then what kind of society are we living in? We can't even laugh at ourselves.
Because Canadians are so insecure. If you have Canadian friends, you'll realize we're very insecure. We've lived next to America our entire lives. Everything's an insult. And the Kiwis have lived next to the Australians, so they have the same relationship, exactly. However, when you get to England, you realize they don't even talk to you if they don't like you. British people are fucking, they'll insult you, but it's a compliment. They don't give a fuck. If they don't want to talk to you, they won't even look at you.
Maybe that's why we need more stand-up comedians. They do a good job at making us laugh at ourselves. All a stand-up comedian needs is a place to stand up. That's where One Night Stand comes in. One Night Stand is Singapore's first comedy club.
So if people go to a nightclub, they're normally dancing. If they go to a rock concert, they're singing. And if they go to a comedy club, they're laughing. What we try to do is get them doing all three at the same time. I looked into the whole comedy side of things across Asia and realised that nobody was really doing any form of stand-up comedy. And it just seemed to make sense to just exploit the gap in the market.
Fortunately, One Night Stand closed after 5 years. But if you're dying for some laughs, you can go howl at the moon. Oh! I mean, there's now a bar called Howl at the Moon, which has regular stand-up comedy nights. Interestingly, it is largely visited by expats.
Singapore doesn't have a stand-up comedy culture. So when people ask me to do stand-up comedy for their gigs or their dinners or whatever, they always say, can you come and do your skit? And I'm like, skit? Skits, a few people do skit, like school play kind of thing. I'm doing a stand-up comedy routine, you know? So it's not a common thing.
They just don't have the resources. There's no comedy rooms to go and, to go and practice your skills. You just have to go to the pub and tell your mates a few jokes or tell your stories or whatever. And we haven't had that many people who have come to us and asked for spots, at our regular shows either.
I can name all the stand-up comedians in Singapore on one hand. You know what I mean? Where's the new generation? Because we need people who are younger, who are more in tune, in line with what's on the ground now to tell jokes about what's happening, because it's so important. Because for us, for myself and my generation right now, I mean, our sensibilities are very different from, let's say, someone who's in his 20s, starting out, for example, who knows what the world of PS3 is about, because I have no idea, an Xbox, whatever, you know what I mean? Things like that.
There isn't a comedy circuit here at the moment. It's just one room doing, 3 nights, bringing in comedians from overseas. And we need to develop that, whether they're from Malaysia, whether they're from Singapore, whether they're from Indonesia, whatever it might be.
Can Singapore comedy survive? Are the problems just superficial? Or is there just no room for any funny business here?
It takes a man with balls of steel to walk around in 6 inches. But I don't deal with.
This business is so volatile. One minute you're there, one minute you're not, and one minute you can earn some money. Next minute you're waiting for your next paycheck. It's very hard.
Unless people start paying comedians, there's no reason why talented people should go into comedy.
Comedian is something like a clown in a circus. It is very entertaining, everybody will love that. But when you come to the actual show, people will not go for the clown, but they need the clown to lighten up the whole circus performance out of every item.
Smack your friend, bang on your table, same thing. Here we go.
I don't think it's because there's not funny people out there. I think that they just don't see this as a viable way of generating income, and they'd rather go into private speaking or public speaking or after dinner speaking or sports or whatever it might be.
People only complain, like what just now you say, oh, the industry is dying, or let's say, oh, there isn't enough comedian. Then be a comedian, Remember what Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. If you think there's not enough, encourage your friends who are funny, go and try,
The rule of the thumb is to avoid politically driven jokes, especially to your own politicians. Although it's a national sport in America, we try to avoid that in Singapore, and we try to avoid talking about religious jokes.
Because right now we live in a society of paranoia. Shouldn't say this because who knows who's listening? Oh, I'm gonna put you in prison. For what? For saying something funny? Come on, And I think that society of paranoia has to be broken.
Yeah, so we may not have our act together just yet in the comedy scene. But since Raffles founded Singapore, this island was destined for big things. Question is, are they big, funny things?
I don't think there's a lot of comedian talents in Singapore, but I think that those that we have are very good. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we have the cream of the crop. We just need an outlet. We just need an opportunity to showcase, that there's so many. We just need a program or a show to showcase all these great comedians that we have.
I think that here it's just never evolved. I mean, your country is 40 years old. You haven't really had nobody's really come to the forefront as a comedian. You've got Kumar, Hossan Leong. You don't have I wouldn't say you have the depth. They're both very funny people, but they're not going to appeal. It's not like a mass appeal if you've got someone like Eddie Murphy, for example, doing stand-up, or someone like a Russell Peters. People are going to flock to see them and pay $100 to go and see them. That's not going to happen here.
I strongly believe that when the opportunity arises, we are ready to take on whatever challenges that come, and I think that if we have just one chance, the whole world will get to see how great Singapore comedians can be. I mean, I'm very, very positive about that.
We live in Singapore.
We're not always funny.
At least we are interesting.
We live in Singapore.
There's a chance that we can prove our humors off the roof. Yay!
People say we can laugh, rubbish lah, they just bluff. Phua Chu Kang, Tanah Teck, all these characters are fake. Kuma, Hossan Leong, you see, just shows we can be funny. Kiasuism, here's the spot, we are a really quirky lot. We live in Singapore. We're not always funny, but at least we are interesting. We live in Singapore. There's a chance that we can prove our humor's off the roof.
We live in Singapore.
So in order to stay sane in Singapore, we have to be a bit xiao sometimes. Just a bit crazy, you know, just a bit. Like that only. Not too much, just a bit. Okay? You think I do stand up for what? For fun? To keep myself sane, you know, otherwise... Oh, okay. All right?